In this video, we're going to see how you can create a fund account on Hedera in 10 minutes or less. We're going to generate some cryptographic keys. This will allow us to derive some accounts locally. Then we'll use Hedera Faucet to fund it with some cryptocurrency, thereby creating it on network. Starting the timer now so we can track how long it takes to complete the sequence. So firstly, we'll check the prerequisites, which we have already done previously. And then going to do a git clone. You can choose to use the git SSH version, or you can choose to use the HTTPS version, up to you. Once you cloned it, cd into that directory, and then open that up in your code editor. So in this case, I'm using VS Code. So I've got the create and fund account subdirectory open and opening up the package.json. Inside of it, we can see the dependencies. There is the Hedera JavaScript SDK. There's also .env and there's also ethers.js. So let's install that. Let's open up the terminal within VS Code. cd into the directory and then npm install. Alright, the installation is completed, and now we're going to copy the sample.env file into .env and then open that up. So you'll see here that we have 4 variables, environment variables. In this sequence, we're going to be doing the first 3, and the RPC URL, we're going to leave that out. Next step is to run npx mnemonics. It'll generate 12 words at random, copy them, and paste them into the seed phrase variable. This will be used to generate your private keys from which we can derive our accounts. Alright, next up we're ready to write the script. Just a bit of orientation before we start. So if we are on step 1, then open the indicated file and then look for a code comment saying step 1. So let's do that. Make this a bit bigger. Alright. So we're going to find step 1 now. There it is. Okay, so the code comment that's adjacent to step 1 comment, that will be where we need to make a modification. So in this case, we need to put seed phrase env variable into it. So we're just going to type process.env.seedphrase. Right, this shows you the before and after, just to be extra clear. So once you've got the seed phrase, that is used to create a HD node root using ethers.js, and then that plus a derivation path is used to create a HD node, and that's the ethers.js version of something that has the private key, right? And we're going to convert that private key and import it into Hedera SDK, and then from that we can derive the EVM address. And this will be done as part of step 2. So we'll go private key dot public key, and note that public key is a property, not a function, so we're not going to use these parentheses. So it's just public key dot to EVM address followed by parentheses, because that is indeed a function. Alright, we're ready to run the script. Node script create fund account.js. And we'll see here from the output, we have a private key, an EVM address, and an account explorer URL. And we also have an account ID and an account balance. But these are undefined because the account has not been created yet. The account only exists locally. It's been generated, but it's not on the network yet. So let's go back to the end file and paste the private key in there. Go back to the script. Alright, so we'll open up the Account Explorer URL in a new tab. It says here we have an inactive EVM address, account ID, and EVM address. So we can see here that the EVM address matches, and it helpfully tells us in this hint over here that we need to transfer some HBAR into the account in order for that account to be created. Right now it doesn't exist yet. And that's what we're going to do next. So we'll open up the Hedera faucet. So we just need to paste in the EVM address. So copy and paste, and then press the button to disperse, and then pass the reCAPTCHA, press confirm, and then now the transaction is happening, and then we've got the account ID. So let's copy and paste that into the end file. And I've noticed that the private key wasn't copied previously, so let's copy that now. Alright. And so the only one that's left is RPC URL, but we're going to leave that out for this sequence and get back to it in another Hello World sequence. So we've done all of these steps now. Okay. Now we're back in HashScan. We're going to press refresh. So previously it was inactive EVM address, and now it is an account. So we can see that there's an account ID, and we can also see that there's an EVM address, right? The EVM address is the same. An account ID is new. Previously it was undefined, right? So let's run that script again. We can see this time that we do indeed have an account ID since the account has been created, right? We can see the number matches. And we also have an account balance of HBAR. The faucet has dispersed 100 units of HBAR. Click on the transfer to see when that happens. So that's the faucet transferring 100 HBAR to this account. Alright, and we're done. So it looks like we took around 7.5 minutes to complete the sequence, which is great. So let's recap. First, we generated cryptographic keys from a seed phrase. Then we used that to derive accounts locally. And finally, we used the Hedera faucet to fund one of those accounts with some HBAR, thereby creating it on the Hedera testnet. Thanks for following along. This sequence was the first one and the prerequisite for all the other Hello World sequences. Do check out the other sequences too.